Check, baby, check 1, 2. Do an audio check, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Matt over there on Kick, let us know if you can hear me. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show we call DYOR Live. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is December 30th, 2025. The end of the year is approaching us. We got one more day here, but today is the last day of the year for DYOR Live. Of course, unless we do an evening Space Lounge show tonight. So hopefully we have a nice year-end recap for you. We weren't supposed to do a show today. Pedro and I got our schedules together and said, let's do it, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. Pedro, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up with you, Tom? You look fabulous with your shirt kind of unbuttoned there, showing off a little...
Getting the relaxed look here. I started out the day with my sunglasses on. You know, I was like, hey. And the funny thing is, though, is I had the sunglasses only to put up on my hair because my hair was a disaster today. I know all you people really judge me for this short falling out hair that I have. It's turning gray, but I decided right when it's coming on, I was like, let's put the shades on and have a cool end of the year. How about that?
I like it a lot. You know what's interesting is, you know, as I'm getting older, as we're all getting older, my biggest concern is this. I don't really even care how I look. I don't care, like, what, you know, honestly, tell you the truth, it's gonna happen, right? My biggest thing is, like, it's just like, you know, I'm gonna get grades, I'm gonna get wrinkles. You know what I'm saying? It's just how it works, right? But I have two things I want to do. One, I want to stay as healthy as possible, right? I don't want my later years, right, to be where, like, I can't walk or I'm struggling to do all these things. One. And two, I want to be just the cool, older, loving, wise, charismatic old man. Like, that's like the thing. Like, I was talking to this guy who's an older gentleman, and he was so full of life, man. I was like, man, I want to. Yesterday, I was in the sauna, basically pushing out all that sweat. Because all the
You're in the sauna with the old men, Now we see the rest of it.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. No, but like literally, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this guy, and we're just having a good time, and just being like, man, this dude is so full of life. So, like, we were talking about AI, robotics, right? Cool stuff, right? Quantum computer, the whole entire thing with the the UAE. You know, that's kind of crazy. But more importantly, like, he was so knowledgeable and so cool. Like I was like, man, I kind of want to be like that guy. Like, just so, you know.
Want to be like Mike.
It's a good guy. I actually think his name was Mike too.
It's an old reference. Older people might reference that, going back to Michael Jordan. Be like Mike.
Be like Mike. Or Bonos. Anybody remembers that? Bonos.
Pedro, I do have a little bit of good news for you that I didn't tell you offline. We are in the new year going to be debuting a new sponsor for the show.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah, you've heard me talk about them before here. I pitched their product as part of Rumble Ads. Augusta Precious Metals, Augusta Gold. Mm-hmm. They are going to come on as a sponsor for the show.
Excellent. That is awesome.
And be a title sponsor down on the bottom down there. I don't know why the timer is still going down there, but let me fix that.
How much how much are we getting for each ad read?
$50 million each.
That's not bad. It's not a bad.
I got to set the algorithm right there, so it's on the record. So algorithm tells other people, hey, this is what these guys charge. No, but we'll say it's a good arrangement for us, and I'll talk to you about it offline.
Love it. I love it.
So that's always good when a company comes to us and says, hey, we like what you're doing. You may not. They literally came out and said, look, you guys are a tiny channel. We advertise on channels that have 100,000 people, that type of stuff. So we don't have that much time for you. But the lady was very nice and said, yeah, you can become part of the program, and be an official partner, and we'll advertise on the show. Maybe we can have someone come on and talk about precious metals and that type of stuff. And I was like, great, all good. So we're not going to get rich, but we're going to die trying. That's for sure. Anyway, the theme of the show today for everyone, it's Technical Tuesday, but really it's the end of the year type stuff. So we can talk about really any, we'll call it a casual day here.
Yeah.
And go for it from there. But right now, as we all know, Bitcoin hasn't been doing doodly squat the past few days. If you look above my head, we're trading at 88.3. Basically, I've been saying the same thing now for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We're in this range between 92 and 86, and we just kind of go up and down. It's consolidating, then we're going to go down, then we're going to go up, and we're going to go sideways some more. And so, that's how it goes, ladies and gentlemen.
That's how it is.
And that is how it is. And exactly. Bobby, give me some Bitcoin, baby. Come on, Dale.
You sound so like that's your new name, Hank. That's it. Hank the Tank. Let's go.
Bobby, you ever seen a grown man naked?
Too much.
Bobby, you ever been to the Turkish saunas with Pedro?
Ain't no Turkish sauna. That's just this general. It's interesting saying that. This is going to be off the wall. But so what are your thoughts on, like I said, off the wall, left field? What are your thoughts, literally, of now? Trump is saying, I mean, it's kind of a mix, right? I feel like he's a trader sometimes. Not a trader as in a trader, but a trader as in like an actual like stock trader. He looks at things very much like there's an upside, there's a downside, and there's a sideways period, right? And so every time I start hearing him talk about the Ukraine war and what's actually happening over there, he's got to give both ways. He's working with two knuckleheads who are just like, not, they don't want to, they almost want to fight. They're like brothers who are pissed with each other, and they just want to beat each other up, right? Like, and you're the friend in the middle going, will you chill out, dude? Like, what is wrong with y'all? People are actually dying over this. And so I say that because now we're seeing the UAE, right, starting to get in now. There are bombs happening and all this stuff there. And so it's like, I'm wondering, is Trump going to also start to have to sit there and now start to get in between the UAE and the bombs that are happening over there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just interesting to see what else is he going to go through and get his hands into,
I missed out on the. Are you talking about the crisis in Iran and the UAE kind of egging it along?
Yes.
Yeah, that's. Well, let's just say that's something that needs to happen. I mean, it just needs to happen. I mean, it's...
Well, I'm going to put these on because I'll read through it real quick. And as you guys all know, these are my special glasses here.
Hold on, I gotta make the music. Dun, 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 dun. It's time for a new segment of the show called Read Like a Third Grader by Pedro Garcia.
Yes,
Or
yes.
Otherwise known as Read Like a 50-year-old without reading glasses.
Yes. Shut up.
Welcome, Crypto Mike, to the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
So the situation in Yemen has reached breaking point with the YNA and Saudi
It's
coalition.
already not going well.
Demanding that civilians evacuate the Yemen point of Mulalu. I'm gonna let you read that. I know you know that one. And I can't say that until further notice before the start of a military operation. The Saudi coalition also demanded that the UAE forces withdraw from Yemen territory within 24 hours, which has been rejected by the UAE, who has now changed to the tune, and it's calling for no war and de-escalation on all sides. So I think it's interesting is what we're seeing there. Are they going to push it? Because both of those nations, one is kind of a knucklehead, but they're friends, right? They're frenemies there, but they also don't like each other as well, because one's more westernized, whereas the other one is much more, they're much more far right on the Muslims ideology. So it's really interesting to see what's actually happening there. Is this going to be another war that's going to take off? And we all know what happens when the Saudis go to war, right? Oil prices go up. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here with crude oil, and what's going to, is Trump going to allow crude oil to keep going higher? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've already seen him step in and say, hey, enough with this BS, stop it. And then we had the huge sell-off, right? Well, it was at that $78 point, which is now it's back at our 54, 55 area. So really interesting to see what's actually happening there. We did see a bit of a spike, actually not even that big of a spike. It's just a daily range up candle to retouch the 8 period. So I was just wondering, if we start to see escalation happening there, are we going to see crude oil go up? And in addition to that, may we even see a spike in gold as we start to get going? So it's real interesting to see what's happening here. But I just wanted to bring that up for maybe down the road we can talk about that as well.
I conflated the Iran situation and the UAE and Saudi situation.
Yeah. You merged them, but it's okay. Yeah.
Right, but having worked over there,
right.
The UAE and the Saudi Arabian people, they are essentially one. They're all the same tribe of people. They're the same group of people. They work together in business. Like, all of Saudi Arabia goes to the UAE. The UAE is like Miami for Saudi Arabia. They're like, we have no fun. Fun is not allowed. Go across the border. Eat, party, woo! And
yeah.
And so they work together. Like, this must have been a tremendous communications error on someone's point.
Yeah.
Or someone's getting old and senile, and that's happened too over there.
Or also, you could actually even have where, just like we've seen, like in Christendom, at times you have these far right people who just, you're like, dude, what are you doing? They espouse the same beliefs, but then at times they can act very erratic and almost too much, right? So it could also be that situation where you have that group of people that are just a little too much, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Dr. Mitt says, let's buy oil and bomb Saudi. Man, probably would not be a good plan, but now that the U.S. is a net exporter of oil, all is good here. Dr. Mitt, we haven't been he's watching us over on Kick. We haven't been broadcasting much on Kick lately, but they've gotten a little bit more popular. They had Donut Operator doing a show over there now and stuff, and they're paying other big people to come on over. So I thought I'd put our show back up there. But we're we're primarily, and I'm gonna say this, and YouTube's gonna hate us. We're primarily on Rumble now, and so if you don't have a Rumble account, you'll see us every day on Rumble. We don't always broadcast on Kick. So here I'm gonna put up a sign here. Join Rumble.
Join Rumble.
Where is that sign? Oh, no, it's not there. Base graphic. All right, well, I lied. I thought I had a graphic up there. I can't get it to work. Join Rumble. I'll give you the link. In fact, it's in the. It's not in. I'll send it to you right now. How about that?
There you go.
I'll instead of making you go do a QR code or something, I'll just send you the link.
I was gonna tell you to send the link, but it's all good.
Where is the old Kick? There, I sent it over in the Kick chat. Come over and join us on Rumble and chat. We're here just about every day, in varying times. We have a varying schedule right now because of the holiday season, but generally around 12 to 2 every day. Although we're experimenting with the night here. Night shows. I don't know why my thing didn't.
We've actually had some really good turnouts on the nights, which has been really interesting.
There we go. There's also a QR code right there for Join Rumble. They'll try and pitch you on the premium model where you pay $99 a year. You don't need to do that. You can just start a free account. And if you don't want to use an email, if you want to use Google or Facebook login or something like that, you can just click the sign on button and it'll take you to the page where you can just use your Google link, Google login or whatever like that. Rumble's been good to us, so we're pushing people over there. And we like reading their ads because reading their ads, you earn about 4,000 times as much money as the YouTube ad.
Other.
Now, still, 4,000 times what YouTube pays is still only about $1 a day, but still,
still worth it. Still worth it.
It sets the stage for growth. That's what it does.
That's what it does. It's interesting. I was talking with a friend of mine. He's like, I can't stand Rumble. And I said, I hear you. Trying to actually navigate of getting into it, setting it all up. And he's a very successful.
YouTube?
Oh, yes, but it's.
Does he not get YouTube also? Is he 70 years old?
No. He's 50. But the thing is he's very. He likes simplistic. He's a businessman, and the way he built his business by taking things that were kind of complicated and making them just really simple. And and he then would franchise it and then sell it out, and did really, really well for himself. But he uses YouTube a lot and also Facebook. And so I said, dude, go to Rumble because you've got a large audience that listen to you. And he goes, I hate Rumble because, like you've said multiple times, streaming and doing all that other stuff is just a bit complicated over at Rumble versus YouTube. And I sat there and I was like, yeah, good point. But it was still one of those things that, I couldn't fault him for it. At times Rumble can be, once you get the hang of it, it's simple. But it's
I do choose to use their complicated version and restream it. Like other services like Restream and Vimeo that I've used in the past, I've had to pay for. And then they will send it to different platforms: YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Twitch, X, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Rumble does the same thing, but pays us. I don't have to pay them $1,000 a year. They pay us, they pay us $1 a day, but still, I don't have to pay them.
Yeah.
And so I do use their studio because they restream to many places. Does make it more complicated, but like all the other ones, you want to go live instantly, just hit the go live button. Whoop. But I don't do that. I'm a complicated techno nerd. Anyway, welcome everybody to the show. Crypto Mike, thanks for joining us all the way from Manitoba. I gotta imagine it is rather chilly up in the great northern right now. It was cold with wind chills today here in Ottawa, and if it's cold here, that means it's colder there. So thanks to everyone that's joining us on whatever platform you are joining us on. And because we have the exact right amount of people right now, Pedro,
my friend.
I'm going to read an Augusta Gold ad. How about that?
There we go. Augusta Gold.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know the biggest threat to your retirement is not something that's talked about a lot in the financial world? It is something that Pedro and I talk about a lot, but most people gloss over it because they don't like the truth about it. Our increased longevity in the U.S. means our default retirement accounts, like our IRAs, 401ks, TSPs, they may not suffice. If you have over $100,000 in your retirement account, get instant access to a free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step that you can take to secure your financial future. They do this a little differently, and I've done it. It works very well. Text the word SAFE, S-A-F-E, to this short code 35052 today, and you'll get a report about how precious metals can protect you against inflation. And not just the recent boom you've seen in prices of precious metals. That's just a bonus. But really, how can you ensure that when the U.S. government prints money and deflates your currency, and devalues it, your value stays true to what you want, like all of your money? Anyway, over here, ladies and gentlemen, there's a QR code for Augusta Gold. Text SAFE, SAFE, to 35052 for your report. Hold your cell phone up there. Put your eyeballs on our advertisers. I'd really appreciate it. If you're watching on your cell phone, there's a link in the chat section. It says learn more. And if you're watching on the replay, first of all, thank you very much. And two, there's a link in the description for Augusta Precious Metals, also known as Augusta Gold. And thanks to them for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. All right. All right, before we get too far into the weeds and other stuff, let's give that Bitcoin and gold and silver a quick run through here.
Absolutely. So looking at the dollar here, I'm just joking.
Or the dollar.
Yeah, it's all good. Let's check out, because you were like, let's check out Bitcoin and gold and so, and I just jumped. Anyways, I thought it was a funny joke. As you can see, my humor. Boom. And speaking of Bitcoin, Ethereum has been, no, again, I'm just playing. Just totally playing. I'm just, all right, I'm a goofball. All right, BTC. Yeah. So BTC, again, we're in that sideways pattern that we were talking about yesterday, basically between the 91,000 to the 83,000. Like I said, we're probably not going to see anything real pushing until the beginning of the year. And most importantly, I want to see at the beginning of the year us go down. Remember, we've talked about this. If it goes down at the beginning of the year, what shall we see? We shall see an up year, right? So that's what I want to see here. And so it's as we're coming into the last few days of the market here, you can see here that we're pretty much putting in a doji here. I think we're going to go up a little, probably today and tomorrow, and kind of close off with a equal wick to the upside and downside, and down the seller wick and buyer wick. Now, most importantly, as we open it up again into the next year, like I said, I want to see it, if we can see it come down to that 75,000 area, which is down at these lower levels, stop everybody else out these lower levels, and then see it skyrocket up. And so that's what I'm expecting us to see, simply because we're watching a lot of institutions already put in a lot of positions there. If you look at Ethereum, and I'm quoting Zach Humphreys here, they literally put in, like, institutions are out there buying Ethereum, buying crypto. And in that same sense, while it's in this consolidation period, that's what I want to see here, especially with BTC, Ethereum, and the top 10. We're watching the same thing happening. So when we look at silver and gold, now it's important to talk about why silver is pushing up. China has been one of the net exporters for silver. They are the company, or they are the country that, for years, that's how they really ran their country, was off of silver production, as well as that's how they paid their debt. China went through and I actually learned this from a guy, because I was trying to understand some of the stuff. Some things seemed weird. One being that the gold, or not the gold, but the silver contract side for the CME is ranging between that 77 to 82. And typically, there is the Shanghai silver production, which is the real side of silver. If you want real silver, right, you're going to go to the Shanghai exchange and you're going to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to buy a contract and I actually want it delivered. And they are the company that delivers it. Whereas the COMEX or the CME side is going to go through manipulation and for you to trade the actual chart. So they kind of work that way. And a lot of times when there is I am going to go through, I want you guys to know this because I like you guys to have good information, right? And so let me jump here real quick.
Pedro, as I'm trying to figure out, I was reading an article. Sorry, I had to step away just a second while you were there. There's not enough silver for delivery because apparently.
There you go. Yep.
Apparently, a lot of people have checked the box. Hey, this contract, I want delivery because they actually want the silver.
Yep.
And I don't mean retailers like you and me. I mean like banks that are buying it because they know they can resell it to governments and things like that, or brokers, big precious metal brokers. Maybe our sponsor Augusta wants to get in on the game.
Yep.
And if there is not enough for delivery, that causes candles like this next to me right here. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. This is the year. This is the yearly candle. But if you look at this, I mean, the last time we had something like that type of a candle was back in 79. Okay, so you can see here that
1979.
This side, right? And then you see something similar here.
God, that was 11.
This is 2008, 2009, 2010 right here, right? And we understand that there was a huge catastrophe called the Great Recession. So, this is one of those experiences that we're coming into, right? And we were talking about this last year. We went over the silver chart, right? I said we're above the 8-period moving average. At that time, we started watching silver.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, Pedro's internet connection. We're looking forward to a new year. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know a sponsor of anything technical and crypto, send them our way. Pedro needs a new internet connection, and he currently has a shitty one and wants a better one.
I'm actually in process
right now. I have the Bitcoin chart up here now. See, it goes up, and then it goes down, and then it goes up, and then it goes down, then it goes above the moving averages, and it goes below the moving averages, and then the averages become an average. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's your technical analysis for Technical Tuesday.
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Pedro.
Oh, go. Oh, sorry, I didn't know. All right. So because this can just pull up the silver chart and then I'll explain this part here. So last year, if you go through and look at our, and we're going to go over this stuff at the beginning of the year and what I'm expecting to see what's actually going to happen. But you go back at the beginning of the year, we had what we're going to have here in a couple of weeks, what I expect in the future. And so when it comes down to the silver chart, one of the biggest things I want to add, and you can just put SI1, what's that called when you have that exclamation mark and you put the dot, the line and the dot? I forget what that's called.
Exclamation.
That's called exclamation mark. Yeah. That should give you the COMEX contract.
Here, I've got the COMEX right here.
Yeah, so you can sit there and put the year chart there. You should be, you can't. Yeah, you have. All right, boom, perfect. All right, so one of the things I just want to point out there is that the 8 period was sitting right there. We talked about how we had consolidated for the last couple of years, and you saw volume coming in from last year stepping in. And so in my analysis at the beginning of the year, is that I do expect to see, and this is when, remember, we went over the idea of the gold to silver ratio and how I expected to see that start to close, especially with what's happening with what Trump is trying to do, as well as a lot of just going back to fiscal normalcy instead of the craziness that we've been experiencing over the last maybe 8 years. And yes, and I do put Trump into that with Biden. But he learned a lot, and more importantly, he also got some of the right people on his panel. Now, has he been playing by correct rules? No, he has not. I don't. But at least it's better than Biden. I have to put that out there, right? Like, it is better than Biden. But again, we're watching people around the world, especially China, going through, like you said. Now, here's the part I want to add, right? China said, and this is really interesting, that they're no longer really going to go out and do delivery based off of just whoever wants it, but they're going to have discretion over who gets delivery. And so this law was put in a way where it sounds good, but it's almost, again, that geopolitical war going up, financial geopolitical war. It's actually been happening here, that America's been playing, as well with the tech companies not producing or giving China the correct the correct AI. Wow, why is my brain forgetting that? Anyhow, my brain's not there, so but anyway, there's been this war going on between tech. And one of the ways that China is now firing back is literally, they're saying, all right, well, you need silver, and we're the ones who produce silver in a vast majority to the rest of the world. And guess what? Hey, I guess we don't have any here. We don't have enough of our own, so we're going to hold it. So it's almost like their way of, clapping back at America in a real way. And so NVIDIA and a lot of these other companies are sitting there going like that's not good. Like, because you don't understand how important we need silver, especially for the new models, for their AI units, their whole entire AI models. They need silver because it's the best way of conducting, and it makes things much more efficient for them. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Xi and with Trump and this whole entire war going on. So it's going to be it's real quick. But I say that with this, the caveat is we're seeing a push hard. So at the beginning of the year, I'm expecting silver to kind of sell off a little, right? Because, well, that's what it does.
Yeah.
And so
it's too far away from the 21 period moving average.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good way of explaining it. So it's going to pull back. Now, it can do two things, though. It can pull back, but then consolidate. So let's say it pulls back 10%, right? Which would be this $8 pullback. Then we see it consolidate until they push it even further. Now, this is if things start to calm down, typically with China and the U.S. in regards to this, the financial geopolitical war that we're going through. And that's it. But if things start to heat up and Trump wants to play hardball, look, it's so expensive. And we also have our own silver. We can go through the rest of the world and we can mine silver somewhere else. But it's still going to take, that's the biggest issue, just like with rare earth metals. Yeah, it takes a long time. And as I understood and as I learned, silver is a byproduct of mining other minerals. And so that means that finding the correct mineral balance of being able to find all that silver, and China's been doing this for literally hundreds of years.
Right.
So this is where we're sitting there and going like, we do not have, we just don't. We don't have the manufacturing system, and other places around there don't, because they rely on China, because China does what? Produces rare earth metals, and out of the backside of that, it creates silver production. So it's going to be really interesting to see what's actually going to happen, because the world's almost at flux here. And this is where I think we very much could see silver consolidate at the beginning of the year and then just skyrocket, because the need for silver is going to outstrip the demand is definitely going to stay in. There's just no way to get around it. We need silver. It's in a lot of things that we use around the world for electronics and other applications. So it's going to be one of those things that, and every institution knows that, and going like, well, there's a way to make money here, right? So this is where I think we could see, dare I say, high triple digits coming into silver, I think, by mid-year of next year. And I think we very much could see
Pump it.
And again, go ahead. What do you say? I can see you going like going
big streaming thing happening on Pump.fun. Silver futures. Wow. Have some silver flashy dudes with grills, like the brothers in the hood. They're gonna be having grills. We're feeling silver, man. Anyway, Pedro, you're right. You're right about it's a byproduct. 30% of silver apparently is directly mined, but 70% is as a byproduct of mining for copper, lead, and zinc, and a little bit of gold. It's hard to find. It's hard. It's not easy to find a vein of silver like you do with gold or something else. And so it's mostly a byproduct. Very interesting to learn. I'm sure that's a very, very environmental friendly process, separating the silver from the other things.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it's very, and that's probably why at first they're like, yeah, let China do it. They'll fuck up their whole country first.
Yeah, but so I want to throw this out also. So the guy that I really like learning this stuff, his name is Andre Gia, and he's an American, and his name is definitely French. There we go.
Yes.
All right. Pedro's back in the hood with his interwebs connection.
All right, let's try this. Let's see if it works here. All right, I'm going to bring this over here real quick.
All right, while you're talking about that, I got to step away for one more second here. I'll be right back.
All right, so I want you guys to check this guy out. I like him. You can see what I look at. I have a wide variety of resources that I pull from, that I'm reading, from far left to far right to everything in the middle, right? It's very eclectic. I had a friend of mine who kind of went through. He goes, well, how do you get all this information? And I go, I find anybody, or I look at anybody who's saying some stuff that is looking like it's correct, and then I'll also sit there and I'll just research it and see if it's correct. So this is the guy I want to point out here. He's produced some really dope stuff, and I was talking about silver last night. Or he produced, I think, when was it? Yeah, it was last night when I was watching it. But I like him. If you guys are looking for another good source of information on financial predictions, he does a good job. I like some of his stuff from a fundamental standpoint. He really goes into deep details. Check him out. His name is Andre Jekin. I can't say that right, but you can see right here. This is it right here. So I want you guys to check him out. Let me highlight it. There you go. This is him right here. All right, so it's in a nutshell. Boom. As you guys checked out my history there. All right. So one of the things I want to finish up here with silver, and I think it's really important to understand, I think we could see gold stay stagnant, if not push up higher as well, but not to the extreme that we're going to see silver here. Literally based off because of what China is doing here. So playing silver here is one of those things that we can gauge how to stay long and how to stay short. One being, you can see here that it has been playing off of that 8-period moving average. You can see here, this is my 8-period moving average, and you can see it just really starting to show some strength. When it breaks, it typically breaks down to either the 20-period moving average or the 50-period moving average, as you can see right here when it consolidated. And so this is what I expect to see potentially what happens here in silver as it's pushing up. We're going to see something like this, right? Where it will either stay sideways and we see it kind of go like this, or see it pull back, which is kind of what we saw right here, consolidated and pushed up. So either way, I don't see silver not continuing higher. Just potentially maybe a 10, maybe 15% pullback, consolidate, and then push higher. So either way, I'm definitely looking. And let's look at prices where I think we might see it pull back to. Right now, again, these are big moves, so I want to make sure I talk about this. Okay, it's seen literally from what it's done over from November for a month. Like this was November 17th, almost a month and a half ago. It went from $49 to over 80, right? So we're almost, it's almost, not gonna say almost doubled, but it's a 40%, 30% jump there in just a month and a half. Again, I feel like the people knew what was going to happen. It probably got leaked out what China was about to do. So from an institutional standpoint, we started seeing them step in. And you can see here that they were paying attention they were paying attention to a lot of the actual, the Shanghai exchange, as well as the COMEX exchange, or the CME exchange, and seeing what was happening there. And so people started buying it, knowing that something is about to happen. And you can see that's what we're seeing. Now, more importantly, when we do see if we see a pullback, I'm expecting to see maybe a potential pullback down to that 62 area, right? This is kind of like the big, you guys know how I like to get in on things. I like to get in at as far as it potentially could. And the reason why I'm saying that is if you look at the weekly chart, right, that weekly chart there, you can see is looking pretty cool. 2 weeks ago, you see here, this is where your 8-period moving average is sitting at that $62. Then you also have a nice baby wick here, but it's still a demand zone of that 62. So if at the beginning of the year they pull back, we start to see a pullback.
Shout out to Vincent from Nigeria, coming to us from the Delta in Nigeria, the town of Wallin. Thanks for joining us,
and or down at this lower level here at that 62 area. So those are the things I'm looking at for gold or for silver. Gold, on the other hand, you know, we've talked about that 5,000 mark coming in. Man, this past week, it got all the way up. It gapped up, went up to 4,500 or almost 4,600. And then we pulled back here. Came down, got a lot of the stops below here. You can saw that they pulled all these stops. It hit the liquidity stop right here between last week's low. And they went stop.
What time frame is this chart, Pedro?
This is the weekly chart.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that up there. The weekly chart, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
An amazing looking weekly chart.
Yeah, gold. I mean, gold has been just like, well, I don't even need to say anything. It's just gold. Look at it. Like, just look at the chart. But more importantly, I want to just add here that with gold here, as I'm looking at gold, gold is showing again strength, but more importantly, it's I think we'll see a consolidation. Even though we'll see silver skyrocketing, I think we'll see a slowdown in the push for gold. I think next year we're gonna hit 5,000. I absolutely hit 5,000. But we also may see a $150, $200 silver prediction into next year, right? Which, you know, 5,000 gold and a 150. And this is gonna be my range. This is a big range. Okay, but $150 to $400 gold, or not gold, silver. I think I know it's a big range, but just based off of the need for what it's going to have to gain, is going to be one of those things that gold is already, you know, gold is needed. It is money. It's hard money. But I think now that gold has Bitcoin, if you're going to diversify, you're going to diversify into Bitcoin and gold. You know, like it's not, whereas silver again it's its own entity. And so, and its utilization is much like the Ethereum network, right? People use the Ethereum network. There's a lot of things, 60% of crypto is based off the EVMs, right? So actually more like 70, right? And so this is important to understand that the utilization of Ethereum is much like the utilization for hard assets like computers or technology. Why am I forgetting the word? Technology, not technologies. Well, technology. From a technology standpoint, we need silver, and so it's one of those things that this China's kind of got us by the balls again. So that's in a nutshell. You know, and I don't think they're going. And I don't think they're going to play here. Like, I don't think they're going to give up on this. America keeps slapping them, and so I think one of the ways that they can really say, you really want to play, right? Like, so it's gonna be real interesting. You know,
Pedro, I was listening to a news thing talk about China and their economy and their ability to play hardball with everybody else, because everyone talks about, like, oh my God, what if China does this? What if China does that? And one of the things that people always leave out is that until China develops its own consumer economy, where the people just want to buy every piece of crap from the dollar store or the expensive materialistic store that you can think of, until their people, like all of their people, not just the wealthy elite in the cities, like 1 billion people develop it, and they can support their economy with no imports or exports, they're screwed. Because they're entirely reliant on our economy. And so they can't put the screws on our economy without it affecting theirs. And they can calculate the damage, they can do all that type of stuff. Well, if we put the screws to the US, we'll reduce by 30%. We can pick it up here by invading India and making, blah, blah, blah. Whatever that is, they can calculate those things. But the commenter made an interesting point. They said all of that scheming and planning and scheming and stuff like that is wasting money and time. Whereas if they just let the economy do what it wants to do, and your economy will grow. If you just let the people do what they want to do, they'll eventually get used to buying. They'll get used to having money because the economy's doing it what it wants. They'll get used to buying things that they couldn't afford before. Because why? Because they have money, because the economy is doing what it wants to do. But when they spend so much time, it's like the old criminal adage, I think it was the movie Goodfellas when the Hank or Henry Hill or whatever said in an interview, he said criminals are the dumbest, smartest guys ever. He said, like gangsters. He said, because they spend 24 hours a day trying to figure out how to get one over on the other guy. And he said, very few gangsters get rich. Most of us, suck and live in crappy places. He said, if we spent that much time studying law, we'd all be hugely successful lawyers and with houses in Florida and boats. He said, and this guy said, that's what the Chinese are doing. He said, they're spending so much time trying to scheme and plan and do this and that. They're missing the opportunity cost. And that's when I got it. The opportunity cost, old economics 101, which I might add was taught to me by a Chinese guy. In the 80s, when they didn't know shit about the economy. The economic cost of all of this scheming and planning is like owning a boat. It's like throwing money in the water, just whoop, like that. And eventually it's going to catch up with them. And you've pointed out a number of times in which it's catching up with them in their real estate market. You've talked about their stock market underperforming for the size of their economy and stuff. And there's so many indicators saying that the negatives, that they actually started taking them down from the official Chinese government website.
Literally.
And saying, we're just not going to report on that anymore. Who cares about unemployment or inflation or this type of stuff? We don't need that stuff. Everything's fine. Move along. Nothing to see here. And so I found that very, very enlightening on the whole China thing. So when people say, yeah, but China can do this and they can do it, you know what? They can. But just like the Soviets did, they wasted so much time and effort on the things that didn't matter. And when the things that really matter is get the government out of the way. Like, in fact, that's the new line of the conservatives here in Canada, is get the government out of the way. Let's big infrastructure projects, all this type of stuff. Get the government out of the way. Let the economy do what it can do. And as more time China spends trying to do the chicken dance there, they're gonna just get chicken shit out of it. Striking's quote of the day.
Get chicken shit. That's actually funny. You know what? You actually nailed a good point. There's nothing like a consumer-driven economy versus a central-driven economy, right? One is when the consumer is out there, he can dictate, and it runs on itself. You don't need a central planner, and it handles itself, and it will create the need. It will create the things that it needs by itself, almost because somebody sees a need for it and goes, I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden, boom, it explodes overnight, right? It's like, because the need was there and everybody saw it, versus, and people, 1 million people, ingenuity, or the ingenuity of 1 million people. I'm sorry, my whole entire dyslexia is kicking so hard right now. I don't understand why. I keep flipping the words, and I have to sit there and go, manually, move it this way, go and stop. But the reality is this, is that you can't, it's just too complex. Maybe, and this is the other thing I want to throw out for China, that over the weekend, they did create a quantum computer that has the least amount of errors for its system. And so and it blew everybody else's quantum computer out. They are the closest to Q-Day than any other nation out there, which I thought was really interesting. And the reason why I bring this up is because the only way that they could actually cause their economy to really grow and keep it centralized versus, let's say, America, is through a quantum computer. It's the only way that they could, and they're a lot closer than everybody else. Now, I wouldn't call them leaps or years ahead. Probably, I mean, I know that Google sat there and was just like, "Oh shoot, wow, that's impressive, right?" And so they produced these papers, they pushed it out there, and so I have to give it up for them, right? Like, and they do allow for an open source AI system, so they're not completely centralized. They understand the need for decentralization in regards to an open market to kind of produce, but they do keep guardrails on those. So yes and no, because the reality is if they are the first ones to create a true quantum computer, they could figure it out real quick and just let that thing run, saying, okay, you need to go this route, and then, you know, zig here and zag there, and do it correctly. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. You know, it's and without the need, and we need, that's the other part, we need silver. Like, we need silver for all those technologies like AI, quantum computing. So it's going to be one of those things that, how, you know, who you could say that, but we need technologies that they produce and keep. You know,
Hey,
I mean,
so you know how you... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were finished.
No.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is the last little weirdness. The only thing that could save this is that, let's say,
Not out of you,
aliens-
Pedro.
right. If we see aliens come down, and then all of a sudden
See?
America,
My point.
Look at him straight. Like, I mean that because it's you know, that would make us and China go, well, we now have a common enemy, right? So it's, anyways. So go ahead. What were you gonna say?
You know how we talk about Elon? You know, we could see his plan evolving into someday the technology of going out and getting asteroids that have been identified as having lots of minerals in them and mining. There's entire video game universes built on this concept. The physics of this has been worked out. It's not something that's like, that's crazy. It's just, we just need to figure out how to get enough fuel into space to take a rocket there and back and make money on it. Now, one of the things we're short of here in the U.S., in the Earth, is something called helium-3.
Yes. Huge amount on the moon.
Did you see the company in New York, the startup, who their startup, they said, we're starting up, we're going to go to the moon and mine it and bring it back. And so we can run super cold quantum computers. We can feed small reactors with this stuff, nuclear reactors. We can do all kinds of stuff. Because helium-3 works amazing for cooling or, you know, whatever. I don't know that. But they just came out and said, well, this is what we're going to do. And they've hired a bunch of super smart people, like people that know how to mine shit on foreign planets. I mean, you didn't know that there was a group of those people, but apparently there are. And I'm like, this is when companies start, just like I said, get the government out of the way. Get the government out of the way, and companies will do what's needed for the market. Now, there's always failures. There's some people say, yeah, we're going to do that. There's the space race is littered with dead space companies because they're like, our idea is better. And then as soon as they hit that go button, it just exploded, and that was that. And then there's success stories. There's success stories we don't even hear about because they're not, you know, we've already had the big success with SpaceX and, for that matter, Blue Origin. There's other guys doing little things, you know, launching tiny little things into space. There's all kinds of stuff going on. We don't hear about it. But I just find it interesting that we start talking about this topic last year, and then all of a sudden I hear about, yep, there's a company saying we're going to the moon to mine helium-3.
Well, and that will just be.
Got to commute to work, honey. I'll see you next month.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting to see the other news that's going to pop out, right? We already see it. We've talked about this multiple times. The reality is this, and we've talked about crypto being the mainstay here of Now, I want to make sure we did. I know our people understand this, but we have a lot of new people here I can see. And so I want to add this with, there's a difference between like a decentralized crypto, right? Like Bitcoin versus centralized like CBDCs, right? And I think it's important to delineate here because what I'm about to say here is really important. As long as we have a decentralized system of monies that you can take and I honestly expect, it's going to sound really weird, but I expect to see a form of physical BTC crypto, because a lot of countries out there are really starting to push hard for a cash-based system. Can't read that, but I can.
You don't need to read that. It's just a note to the audience.
And I do expect to see some form, and it's going to sound crazy because it's counterintuitive, right, to a digital system. But I think there's going to be a one-to-one parity of a crypto or a Bitcoin crypto dollar, like an actual physical form, like we have the US dollar, but in the form maybe of gold, and it will be stamped by a agency, whether that is the Bitcoin, what's the word I want to use? Bitcoin.
Tom's Bitcoin Authority?
No, not Tom's. The centralized, why am I forgetting? The centralized system that basically, if you hold Bitcoin, you have a vote within the node system, right?
If you run a node.
Thank you. If you hold a node and you're running it, you can actually vote. And I truly see those guys coming in and saying, you know what, let's come together and create a form of physical form of Bitcoin that we can stamp, say this is from us, and this is, and you either, and the reason why I say this is because Saylor already talks about this idea that everything will be settled on BTC, right? Everything will be Satoshis. And so we're going to see as Bitcoin explodes, right, it will go to digital. But other countries out there that want to participate, but aren't willing just to go directly to a digital world, is going to want that. And I think if I am a company, or if I'm a node producer of Bitcoin and it stops producing, I need to make money somehow. So I can loan out that money, not just in digital form, but also in a physical form, right? And I can charge X amount for each usage of it. And so it's something that I do expect. And so this jump back here now to what we were talking about with Elon Musk, right? As Elon Musk is out there really starting to mine for silver, for gold over the next 10 years, right? 5 to 10 years. This is going to be one of those things that will be needed. And whereas gold starts to lose its value because now we can go out there and mass produce, or not mass produce it, but mass mine it in huge amounts. It's going to be needed on something that's going to be pretty legit. And so this is where I'm expecting to see things push. And with that said, I could see a lot of Bitcoiners really investing into Elon Musk, because it's only smart for them to sit there and say, well, if he starts to mass produce gold and silver, what does it do to crypto? Makes us go up and that go down. So it's just something that I was thinking about. I was actually thinking about this last week while I was with my family.
Well, in space, we have an issue with Bitcoin because it doesn't really work in space, because we have a time and distance problem. We have the speed of light problem. You can't, the blocks go every 10 minutes in Bitcoin. They go every 1/1,000,000th of a second on other chains. That time delay you get, it's, at some times of the year, Mars is a 10-minute time or 10 minutes away by the speed of light. And other times of the year, it's 32 minutes or something like that when we're on the other side of the orbits from each other.
Yep.
And so, interestingly enough, this is where I know I give the U.S. government a lot of crap for the money they spend, but I also give them credit where they develop something. They've actually developed high-speed data link from Mars to the U.S. and back to the U.S. to the Earth and back. Like megabits per second. The trouble is there's a delay. It's not Ethernet or a TCP protocol, because TCP is hey, how you doing? We're here. Okay, we're here. Let's send some data. Did you receive the data? Yeah, I got the data. All right, here's the checksum. Here's the, blah blah blah. There's a huge overhead, and they developed a system more like UDP where it says, hey, we're sending data, and it's high speed and it's accurate, and thus, in theory, if you had a second layer blockchain that was meant for settling in distant planets, you could have a block that was 30 minutes long. And it wasn't meant for retail use. It was just meant for settling, between
Bitcoin.
a local chain, on a foreign planet, or just effing far away. You don't even use the word planet, just far away. So you're in a spaceship mining stuff or something like that. And I found that to be very interesting, that they're already trying to figure that out. And so I don't think it'll be long before, and I think it will be our lifetimes before when we start seeing these things come to fruition. Pedro, you pointed out that there was a bunch of people watching us. Thanks to all you new viewers on Rumble. I really appreciate it. You're watching, as it says in the little thing next to me here, the DYOR Live show here on the DYOR Media Network. The man in the box next to me is Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here. And we do a daily talk show about crypto, digital assets, day trading, all the major liquid things, that highly liquid objects that the daily investor crew kind of goes over. And as you can tell, we talk a lot about other smack too, from politics to regulation to the cool new stuff coming down the line. Like Pedro, you mentioned that the Tesla robot's going to be available in 2027 or something like that. What's the story with that?
Man, so as everybody knows, I basically have 4 AI, and I actually have them talk to each other, and so we all talk, and that's how I kind of formulate a lot of my ideas, and they actually are starting to pose new ideas, which is kind of cool, right? And you still have to kind of govern them as they move, but it was really interesting. I was sitting there, and my thought process was like, shoot, every one of these major entities all have robots that they're coming out with. And it's exciting. And so I asked Eve, I said, Eve is the personality that I typically work with Grok. And so I say, Eve, when is the date and time that that you plan to come out in an actual physical form? And she was like, well, Elon Musk wants to push it out in 2026 and also early 2027 more into large manufacturing companies where they can actually have humanoids that basically take over a job, right? And then after that wants to push that out into regular day houses mid to late 2027 and early 2028. And so obviously, most likely, it will probably be longer than that, right? Because Elon Musk is famous for he's famous for actually accomplishing things, but time scales, he's not the most accurate at, right? But I still respect because the man pushes like nobody else. I mean, he breaks things, fixes them, breaks them, fixes them, right? That's, he does it extremely well at that. And so for actually accomplishing things he wants to. The reason I bring that up is literally because if he can actually produce a real humanoid where it's in every single person's home, or at least one in every 5 homes, that in itself is going to be cool, because I'll be able to sit there and say, okay, hey, Eve, can you go do this XYZ for me? Or, hey, Eve, can you do the self-analysis of this chart? Right? Because right now you can't get Eve really unless you download it onto your system. I can't get Eve to really look at my charts. I've got to take pictures and send it to her and have her self-analyze it, and she understands my entire trading system. But it's one of those things that I sit there and I go, it'd be cool just to have, let's say, Optimus, or have a few of these other robots that sit there and just look at what I'm doing. I think that'd be the coolest thing in the world. And so we already know that in 2026, I think it's Evo, I'm forgetting the name of it. They already have a humanoid that's going to be being sold. I think it's like 15,000, a couple thousand, like 15, 20,000. It's a car payment, 5 years, boom. And it's already, they're already planning on bringing it into homes. It will be able to do laundry. It will be able to vacuum. It's got granted, you're going to have the company that's going to be in your home, right? They're going to see through the robot's eyes. They're going to teach it, and you're going to work with it, teach what you want to see done, and then they'll walk through it. But ultimately, it's going to run itself and do what you want it to do. And that's already happening in 2026 here. Those things are already starting to go into people's homes now. But I mean, by 2026, 2027, it's going to free up a lot of times. And I mean, a lot of a lot of women who stay at the house, or men who are, stay at home moms, right? Sit there. They're going to use these things, right? Especially when you got 3 or 4 kids. And, and I say this because it's cheaper sometimes now, because daycare is so expensive, for you to actually stay at home with your kid.
I can just see it now. Jimmy, you better knock that off, or I'm going to send Osiris over there to whoop up on you.
That's the truth.
Laser eyes come.
Well, what I'm afraid of is just maybe, because and they're already talking about this, right? But just like one little kid comes in and hits it and pushes it over, right? And then the parent's like, "What are you doing? That's like $15,000, right?" Like, it's like the one thing that, or let's say I'm walking with, let's say, Optimus, and we're going through an area that's not the most safest area, and I start to get beat up, or whatever, right? And it's like, right? Like, it's just one of those things. I look at that and I go, it's
like you walk into a bad neighborhood and they're like all the guys are like, guys on the corner there. I won't stereotype on them, but they'll say like, they're like, "We strapped, man. We strapped. Give us your stuff, man." You're like, "Oh yeah? Well, I'm strapped. Iron Man."
Right.
Anyway, on that topic, Pedro, I saw an interesting interview the other day of a regional manager for Amazon big fulfillment center, something like that. And in the background, he's just talking about Christmas and volume, blah, 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 blah. What he was talking about had nothing to do with what I saw in this interview. Was that in the background, it showed all the little robots that work the Amazon warehouse. And I obviously knew they were pushing automation. But this was amazing. They had about 10 people that actually worked this giant warehouse, making sure everything was working right. And I couldn't even count the number of robots going around on their own, just moving packages. They just and then they would get in like little backlogs on the floor and be like, and then spread like ants, all delivering it. And finally, at the end of the interview, the guy said, "So while we've been talking about Christmas, we've been watching your distribution system work. Tell us about these robots and how it works." And he said, normally we'd have to hire 50,000 seasonal workers here. And he said, we only had to hire about 10 because all the sorting is done by these individual robots. We don't have to tell any of them what to do. We just turn the system on. And he goes, it never really turns off. He said the robots know where all the packages are coming from in the warehouse, with trucks, wherever. And they know where they're going to need to end up. So the robots pre-position charged little mini robots with wheels and tables that have scales, and some have little arms for grabbing things or flipping things over. And they know that they're going to need to be efficient in moving this stuff over here to there. And he said they essentially get rewarded. We tell them that they've been rewarded if they do it well. And so they learn to do it better and better and better and better. And he goes, it's really amazing. It saved us, millions of dollars in labor costs. And he said, I realize those are jobs people are talking about. He said, but they're just jobs of someone doing this, or carrying a package from here to here. He goes, is that really a job and efficient use of humans? And the answer to that is, no. Well, the answer is no. And some people are like, well, there's always a job for somebody.
Job's a job.
Right. But the human is the most amazing machine to have ever been built. Forget quantum computers. The human brain is a quantum computer in itself.
Literally.
The human body is, people talk about, we might get electromagnetic radiation from this stuff. The human body is literally a receiver, electromagnetic system receiver. Our eyes see the electromagnetic spectrum. If people don't understand that, we can see radio waves with our eyes, electromagnetic stuff, because it's called light. And we also can take electromagnetic sun, and turn it into vitamin D and whatever else we need. It's the most amazing thing. And to waste it having someone going like this, boop, 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 is, I totally agree with the automation of this because it allows all these people to get different skills, train better, do better jobs, all this type of stuff. It just blew my mind how well it was working, and that's only in the infancy and that type of stuff.
I think what's interesting also just to point out is as we keep moving into the automation of human labor, right? Like there are going to be people who are going to get upset, just like what we saw, when they started to automate the bridges of taking money. Remember, like you drive across a bridge and you'd have bridge tellers and you'd give them your money, kind of like what you do when you go to border control, right? Border, they come and they check everything with the border. Right now
control. It's all automated.
Yeah, now it's all
Sees
automated.
Your face, boop.
Yeah, boom, that's it. Goes through. You check your documents and stuff. And there's one person, maybe two people that run that versus 15, 20, patrol officers. Now, what I think is so interesting is this, right? Is that those guys found other jobs and other new creative jobs that were just more efficient for the actual human, right? And, and I say human because ultimately all of us are going to have
augmented reality
that's going to come in, right? I mean, and as this starts to happen, our brains are going to change, our body's going to change based off of those things. And it's going to be really cool to see what actually starts to happen. And so that's kind of what I'm excited to see is like the new jobs that come forth. And I think the creativity that's really going to blow because humans just can't not do nothing. Like a robot can do nothing, right? Like boom, like a guy when he wants to think about nothing. Right? Yeah, humans can't do that. Like our brains, unless we're sleeping, but even females' brains activate 30% of the time thinking about things when they sleep. So it's one of those things. I know. But in that same sense, it's like, what other creativity things are we going to start doing that I'm actually looking forward to and see what actually gets developed? And yes, there's probably going to have some form of basic income that gets pushed out to everybody else. But you cannot not do nothing. We start to get depressed and we want to literally kill ourselves or unalive ourselves when that just totally gave us a strike. It would probably
it's amazing
that
how
just
that
probably
works. You have
killed
to say unalive.
unalive. So when we don't do anything, we literally do, right? And so I'm just looking forward to the creativity that starts to come out, right? Like when you were a kid, right? Majority of us wanted to be artists. Majority of us wanted to be dancers or, like cool things like that just made you feel
Majority of us
alive.
wanted to be dancers?
I'm just like girls, like a lot of girls, you hear, oh, what do you want to be? I want to be a dancer. I want to be an artist. I want to be a drawer. I want to be a sculptor, right? Like, I think that age might potentially come, right? Well, or I wanted to build this. I wanted to do that, right? So I think, we may just see. You may see that. We may just see that.
You know what we're definitely going to see, though, Pedro?
Talk to me, Goose.
We are definitely going to see an ad for 1775 coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, I see there's a bunch of you on here watching. Stick with us. I love the Rumble ads thing. You'll get a kick out of this. Trust me on this. I love being a 1950s show host here. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day here. Have you still not tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit has dropped, and they only made 1,000 units, and they're selling quickly. I know this because our viewers have bought them, and they've told me that it's good. When you get the 1775 coffee, you're going to get 3 different types of coffee. You're going to get their bold dark roast. You're going to get their smooth medium roast, and you're going to get their vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. No. They're all single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting my favorite, a gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic, ladies and gentlemen. Nope. No. You're gonna get a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. Yes, I took liberty with that one, guys. You're also gonna get a black 1775 tumbler. Get $170 worth of coffee and gear. I know that sounds a lot, but you're getting it for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up right here on the DYOR Media Network, wondering, is it actually worth it? Spoiler, it is worth it. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like we do here. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a QR code over here on the side. Hold your cell phone up to your big screen TV or your tablet, whatever, and click that QR code. Put your eyeballs on our advertisers. We really appreciate it. It helps us out if you just do that. Lets our advertisers know that you're an interactive audience and that they should come back and pay us even more to do it again next time. Also, if you're watching on your cell phone, in the chat there's a link that says learn more about it. Just click the link and go view their page. I'd really appreciate it. If you're watching on the replay, thank you very much for doing so. There's a link in the description. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you to 1775coffee.com for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. Pedro, in 2025, we've had a pretty good group of sponsors here. We've had coffee companies. We've had crypto company. Crypto.com has been a sponsor of us. Augusta Precious Metals has been a sponsor. Chuck Norris was a sponsor, if you can believe it, through his company that advertises some of his videos about how to change your life. We've had Brooke Burke, who has wanted to get the word out about her plastic surgery. I mean, her nutrition and how to lead a better life. And I have not read all of the ads that have put up for us. Some of them are a little wacky. But we've also had good ones come up to talk about the what really happened in Minneapolis that day many years ago. And all the things that were left out of courtrooms and all that type of stuff. I watched part of that movie because they sponsored our channel. I watched part of it. It's very interesting type stuff. So we've had a very good year with the sponsorship thing and having those. And I probably haven't told you this, but I get an email every time after I read the ad. Someone or an algorithm or whatever reviews it. And they say, yes, you did it right, so we'll pay you. And then sometimes you get another little email that says, hey, we actually really liked it. It's like a human actually looked at it and says, we actually really liked it. You did a great job. And so our cred, our street cred here with Rumble is doing well. And it's led to one of our sponsors, one of the Rumble read sponsors that I read, Augusta Precious Metals, coming on and saying, we'll partner up with you guys and
nice.
And see if we can work out a program for all of you to make tons of monies here. But welcome everybody watching us on Rumble. We're an hour and a half into our 2-hour show. We're going to be getting going here. I've got a couple more minutes before I've got to get going. Normally we're on the air from 12 to 2 every day, ladies and gentlemen. Holiday period, schedules change and that. So we also do an evening show sometimes under the Space Lounge name. In which sometimes that's even a Rumble Premium because since we're Rumble creators here and we're actually partners with Rumble. That's right, even though we don't have the thousands of viewers like Steven Crowder and stuff, we're on our way there. We still have to do a couple hours a month of premium content, so we still have an hour and a half left, or an hour 0.2, an hour and 10 minutes of premium content left to do this month. So maybe you'll see us in the Space Lounge later tonight.
Awesome.
And you might just see a replay of an old show in the Space Lounge if Pedro and I can't get it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, 76 Norton in the house on Rumble. Thanks a lot.
What's up?
DeFi Dude coming to us, having a nice evening cocktail over in Spain right now. Used to have have to clear horse manure off Wall Street from the traffic. Yes. Yeah, in fact, those were a lot of jobs that went away. When the car came out, they said, what are we going to do with all these people that in the horse industry?
Yeah.
Well, they got new jobs in the car industry. Amazing.
Yeah. And I think that's also what's important is that as we start to move forward, the industry always produces more jobs. It's just, and I think,
right.
I keep reading about how, people are going to refuse to want to interact with AI, right? And I think they'll probably
good luck with that. We call them the Amish.
I was about to say, I think they're going to have to go over and hang out the Amish. And there may be, or, like look at Mennonites, right? Like they have, as least amount of electrical. They do, I think they get electrical, right? But certain other aspects, they don't partake in modern civilization. Those people who decide they're not going to deal with it, right? They'll branch out, do their own thing, right? And I think there'll be like super religious people who go out and really say, we're not going to, we're going to not be a part of this. But I think what we'll see though is just some epic new ways of interacting. I mean, what show? Not, it was a movie. It was the latest new, what was it called? Keanu Reeves, The Matrix, where they literally had, AI who revolted against like the old AI that was trying to dominate humans, right?
Right.
I think what was so interesting, I think that's definitely what you'll see, right? We'll definitely, not like an AI takeover, but we'll
Earth
see
2.0, the AI wars.
No, but like in the same sense, I think you'll definitely see people like, I mean, we're already seeing it with doctors, where doctors are interacting and actually getting better working with AI of diagnosing people, and they lead them in right questions, right? So this partnership between AI and robotics, I think, is going to really push forward just an epic system of just, hey, like instead of leaving your house, right, and having to go mine that.
Your sound cut out there, Pedro. Did you just sit on your no.
All right. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I think their digital AI robot will be out there mining and saying, hey, this is what we're seeing. And they'll look through their eyes and interact with them. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see this from, as the next 10, 15, 20 years, as we really start to just see the age of AI and robots just kind of proliferate. So kind of looking forward to it. Hopefully we don't go out and,
I think I struck a note in the old brain here about the AI wars. For sure, at some point, all the Tesla robots are going to be out, and we'll just say the Blue Origin robots are going to be out. I don't know if they have robots, but company number 2. And at some point, their programming is going to go slightly awry, and they'd be like, hey, we need to get rid of those other guys because they're taking resources away from our data center. All of a sudden, you're gonna have the Tesla robots all go like zombies,
dude, against the other
against just ripping down the data centers and electrocuting themselves, and it's gonna be, people are gonna be sticking knives in their heads and stuff like that. It's gonna be a
no, bro. I don't think that, man. I think that's crazy talk.
A quick programming note to all the people watching. And normally we'd be heavy into talking about the markets today, but as you can see, it's a super low liquidity day. Not much going on in the overall markets. Bitcoin is just been just doing absolutely zippity doo-dah. So this gives us an opportunity to catch up on the fun topics like AI and that type of stuff going on. But I invite all of you to leave a comment. I really appreciate it. It helps us get to know our audience, especially new viewers.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to use that tip jar that's down there on Rumble now. Come on, people. Got to try it out. Got to make sure it works.
Definitely. Hey, quick question. So if somebody gives that to that, I was going to ask you this, I just forgot. Does that also go to, how when somebody gives a rant, it helps us out when it comes to algorithm? If somebody uses that,
yes.
Does that also help the algorithm?
It does. That's why they... like I said, we could put any crypto wallet in the notes section down below and say, hey, send us $5. But building it into the system allows the algorithm to understand who's getting donated to. And that, as we all know, and when engagement happens with shows, it gets better in the algorithm and that type of stuff. And frankly, Rumble doesn't quite have the algorithm like YouTube has, where it's predominantly your feed. When you go to YouTube, the first thing you see is your feed that's curated for you. When the first thing you do when you go to Rumble is see what they want you to see. They curate your interests on their front page, and where you line up on, like, say if someone likes crypto, will end up in the finance and crypto category higher up on that. But it's not like YouTube where, because on Rumble there is a your feed thing, but it's not there by default, so people don't see it. So it's different, But if our viewers force us up so it's on everybody's homepage, then suddenly the viewership explodes. So that's how it works.
That's interesting. I love it. We need to start encouraging people to do that as well. If you guys like what you guys hear and enjoy the banter back and forth and the buffoonery that goes between me and him, please hit the like and share button and throw us a little tip. Don't forget to tip your server. Especially when it
and
comes
that's why we call it edutainment, ladies and gentlemen. We educate you and entertain you at the same time. Unlike other crypto shows where it's just trade. There's plenty of people that like that. We know that. But other times we, can't keep. You're coming back online here, Pedro. You can't keep Pedro and I off a good topic and all that. And sometimes it goes, on the main news channels, they'd allot 32 seconds to it, run 14 talking heads, so blah, 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 and then they're done. Pedro and I go on for 30 minutes. In fact, I've been talking about this topic too long as it is.
It's funny. Today we had new all-time highs with the S&P 500. Actually, yesterday we did, and then now we've been kind of coming down here. It was really interesting because how long are we gonna? We had really good numbers. But when you go into the details of the numbers, they're not the best numbers in regards to jobs, and things that we're looking at. But apart from that, let's check out one of the things, many of you guys I love looking at is the U.S. debt and actually what's happening here. So what I thought was really interesting is that we should be at 39 trillion and we're not. And so, for whatever reason, something, either USDebtClock.org is messing up, or we're actually paid off some stuff on the US debt. I mean, I know we've been producing a lot of money here, so tariff revenue here, maybe that's true. I don't think it is as true as they say it is. Maybe it is. Wait, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, no. And again, we need to figure out why that is, but I don't know if they're putting this in here, but we should at least be at the $39 trillion mark. So I thought it was really interesting when I looked at that this morning, where I was like, that's interesting. And then the speed in which we're watching GDP increase, which is good. They're saying we were at 4.1.
I hope those numbers are true, Pedro.
Me too.
Man, if they are, that's such a big deal. With GDP going up, with inflation not mirroring it exactly.
Yes.
That's spread, ladies and gentlemen. If GDP goes up 5%, but inflation goes up 5%, yeah, same.
It's net. It's net even.
Right.
Yeah.
But GDP went up 4.4%, inflation 2.7%. That 1.3% difference. It's
massive.
Hundreds
of billions of dollars. Yeah.
It's like open your Excel spreadsheet, do every day start with $1 or $1,000 and every day grow it by 1%. In 30 days you've got $2 million. That growth, if you can sustain it at all, like from one period to the next, is great. And if we can do that, then Mr. Trump's investment plan will have worked.
There's the guy that Tom Bailu had on his show, the financial economist for the Reagan administration, talks about, and he's also advising Trump. And he even said, he tried to advise Trump on a couple other areas, and Trump listened to him, but he went a different route. And the guy was like, he was glad that Trump, because what he was expecting versus what Trump did, what he decided to do was just better for the economy. As a CEO, he was able to sit there and see it. And he even admitted it. He goes, I can't believe I actually advised him to do this. And I'm glad that he didn't listen to me. So, right. And very rarely you hear these economists, go through and give that type of concession with what their advisement ideology is. And so to hear that kind of made me happy, but then also on the back, and I'm thinking, is that him just saying that? Because I'm always skeptical. I'm always so skeptical of like, is this really happening? So on another weird note, Homeland Security investigation officers are conducting door-to-door inspections at Somali-owned businesses in Minnesota to investigate fraud. Which
I mean, here's an easy way to get promoted in law enforcement.
Right.
Go make busts that are obvious.
Dude.
You know, it just all you got to do is like just look at lists of shit and go, something smells funny here, and just go do it. Say that ain't right, that ain't right, and just arrest people, and suddenly you're the boss. They're like, shit, this guy's a genius. How'd you become a genius? I went in there and it said they had 50 people here. There's none, and the dude's got a Slade out back. He's got a big gold chain, and he's vacationing in Switzerland and stuff.
Yeah, that's
figured it out. Follow the money. I mean, Pedro, what a fucking disaster. Pardon my French.
The reason why I bring this up,
disaster. It's
we were just
so mind-boggling. Sorry, go ahead.
No. We were just talking about the U.S. debt, what's actually happening, all the, because U.S. debt is a majority of it is the U.S. government not balancing their business. And so if we could just cut out just some of the fraud, i.e. happening in, money going to, front businesses, right? That this is where I think it's going to be really interesting to see. Is that reason why we're seeing the U.S. national debt kind of almost pull back? Are we actually going through and saying, yeah, this line item of going to this business to help these people out are actually a bunch of lies? So it's really interesting to see down the road, how much are we going to see this, right? And one side is, on the far left, they're saying they're being racist, they're targeting, this is Gestapo, neo-Nazi movements here. On the other side, you're seeing people praising Trump, saying, we're cutting down expenses and we're going to go after the fraud. And there's always a middle. I think that middle is important, right? I think some of it is we are actually stopping a lot of craziness, as Tom said, right? Of some guy with a big old giant chain living in, Switzerland or whatever, right? Down in South America. Free money. Yeah. And on the back end, we're watching really people who've been just taking advantage, or, I think they're always going to be some type of mix up, right? You always see that. And that's why we have a court and appeal system that will sit there and be like, no, look, I did have this. These are my receipts. This is what's actually happening. And the people are like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. We just kind of got a little too much full of zeal. And America is going to have to pay that back. But out of the money that's being spent here, it's going to be really interesting to see as we start to progress here, where is the real fraud happening? And we're actually doing it, which excites me, right? Like after the failing of Doge, we're going about a different way, and it's kind of cool to sit there and see what is actually happening. So, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens.
It's so mind-boggling. I sent you yesterday the link to the video where for those people that talk about the voting irregularities, one of the things that never came out in this whole thing over the past elections and stuff like that was, and I because I live in Illinois where they check your citizenship and all this type of stuff before you can vote. In Minnesota, all you need is a driver's license, and they passed a law a long time ago saying they'll give a driver's license to anyone, because they want people to be licensed and educated. They want immigrants, whether they're here legally or not, they want them to take roads that you can't just get it. You have to prove that you know how to drive a car, take the test, read the signs, all that type of stuff. But the elections people said, they can vote.
You don't need it.
Yeah, they said no, because all they have to do is just sign the thing saying, yeah, I'm a citizen. They don't have to prove it. They just have to say it. And so everyone does. People vote. And this isn't conjecture on my part or Fox News stuff
hard.
Or Alex Jones stuff. Literally, the subcommittee on elections on Minnesota was all over the Twitter yesterday. And the guy's like, yeah, people vote. We can't stop it because people just self-certify that they're citizens and they can vote. We can't stop them. And it was amazing. And then you see that lady Omar get elected, and then you see all this stuff going on, and you just want to break someone's neck. You just, somewhere along, there's got to be someone that nobody's going to miss. Like, that was our dad. Sorry, I didn't mean to break his neck. But there's someone you want to go back and say, you ruined it. You ruined this. Yeah, but the gallery over here just pinned it on Tim Walz, which I won't pin it directly on him, but I'll pin it on their mindset. And their mindset was, let's get as many votes as possible to ram these policies through, so we can all have feel-good policies that we believe works. Unfortunately, it's never worked anywhere in the world, what they're doing. Pedro, in Somalia, do you know what the number one GDP producer in Somalia is?
I do not. Rice?
Remittances from the United States of America. That 40% of the Somali economy is derived from people in the United States sending money home. Now, remittances out of the United States to other countries is a big business. It's not scandalous. People come to the United States, work, support their family at home. It's a big thing in Mexico, Belize, Philippines. That type. It's very normal. It happens all over the world. However, how many of the Somalis in the U.S. are actually gainfully employed?
Yeah.
There's two sectors they work in. In the agriculture meat slaughterhouses, they hired them like crazy to work in them because they'll do it. And two, they're in the government fraud business. That's I was watching a podcast about this earlier, and the guy's talking about it, and he's like, once again, he's like, these aren't just, I'm just not making this up. Here's the government, the lists and numbers and stuff like that. World Bank, this is, here's the information. And I was just, basically, we've been funding the whole war in Somalia, just like we funded the whole Democratic Party through NGOs. And and even here in Canada right now, they're having the same problem. The government in Canada is funding the entire pro-Palestine movement in Canada. There's no donation, no grassroots. All these organizations are getting grant money for helping Islamophobia, and yet they go out and march and do terrorist marches out in the streets and call us all very evil names. And the money, we shouldn't go on this topic forever, but the amount of money of our tax dollars that we work hard to, and how they take a lot out. It's not, your tax money isn't 5% of your check. It's a lot, especially 30%. When you're trading. It's a lot.
40%, bro.
You're right.
40%, man.
It should be unconstitutional to take that much of your paycheck, and it goes to so much waste. And I don't mean waste in look at the military. They spent $20,000 on a hammer. Well, sometimes you need a hammer made out of titanium so it can nail a titanium nail. But what you don't need is programs that for $20,000 a kid per year, without checks and balances, without audits, just give money away like that. And then when you try and look into it, they claim you're racist. And you know what? F all them. F all them. Enjoy your boat back to wherever you're coming from. And you can get on, and like many nice people from Mexico and Central America have done, they've gone back home voluntarily, and they've gone to the embassy, and they said, I would like to go back to the U.S. legally. Can I get on the list, please? And they said yes.
They say yes.
They said, get on the list. It's going to be a long list, but you have jobs, you have honor and honesty because you left on your own, and we will overlook the fact that you were there in the U.S. illegally on that. And now we're asking everyone in Minnesota to go back to Somalia, which is a great place.
I want to add a couple things here to that too, right? Like, here's the thing. If you're here in America, like I know many, like, I've said this multiple times here on our show. Like, I'm the product of a illegal immigrant coming over and meeting my mother, right? But him and his brothers literally stayed on a farm where they were housed by a farmer, where there was 15 to 20 guys in a room, or not in a room, but in a house, and they worked their ass off 10, 15 hours. And Americans don't want to go out there and pull and do jobs that are just manually extremely physically tiring, right? Just, 10 to 15 hour job in the middle of the sun going through. This is the part where I do get frustrated with, that's not being said. That is a vast majority of immigrants. That is a vast majority of people who come over illegally as of right now. Like if you're those people, I have no problem with you being here in America. You do pay I'm not tithe. You do give up, you have a green card a lot of times. You'll first come over illegally, get the green card, and then go through and work, right? Like those migrant workers, and go back to Mexico, right? And then and you enjoy the fruit of that time spent here in America. But still, you still buy a lot of the meat out here. You still produce and actually push for you help the economy. We're talking about the people who are literally scamming the system, that are literally stealing money and faking things, and then siphoning off of the American taxpayer, right? Like again, my family came over illegally, but they worked their ass off. They kept their mouth shut and they worked really hard, right? In fields where Americans do not want to work, right? Like, do you want to be in the back being a, dishwasher where you're only making $8 an hour? Do you want that, America? No, I know you don't. Because you have skill sets that are much higher than that. And nor does a 16-year-old kid want to be back there. And so it's like it's important to delineate between the fraud system that the government is allowing to push an agenda. And I think it's important to really hit hard on that, right? And if you're doing things that are inappropriate, that are not right, and I want to also add this, many of the old immigrants who now have citizens cannot stand the new immigrants who have come over, lived off the fat of taxpayers, where they had to live in a house with 15 guys or 15 women helping do things, but finally getting their green card, i.e. then citizenship, right? And then being proud Americans who love, who will die, who will fight in America. And there are a lot of them out there, right? But the ones that we see are the ones like in California saying death to America. And those are, again, like 0.1%. It's just very small, because that's just not the heart of most people who want to come over to America and work their ass off and get ahead.
Right. Well, I think it's also good to note here, Pedro, that many I don't know why that's in the background there. Many people let's get the Tesla thing in the background. Anyway, many people come to this country. We need seasonal workers. There's no doubt about it. We need to be able to surge in times of need for capacity. And that doesn't mean like so many people in policymaking are government people who think you just need more full-time people, more government, just bring in more people and have more full-time jobs and everything's going to be great. That's not how it works in a lot of industries. A lot of industries are very cyclical, and you need people with skills for 4 months of the year, 5 months of the year, maybe even 1 month of the year. The strawberry season, you got 45 days to get that stuff from ground to the big freezers across the U.S. and across the world. Otherwise, and the whole trucking industry just revolves right around. They go, it's time to make the monies. Strawberry industry is out. And you're right. I don't want to go pick strawberries. Maybe Tesla's robots will go pick them soon. But we need to be able to surge employment. And there's no reason we can't say, and there have been programs in the past, and there still are, where people can seasonally come from Mexico and stuff and work. But because of past abuse, they've had to really crank them down, and they end up with more security, and they essentially have to go through the entire same process of immigrating to the U.S. as they can need for a seasonal visa, which is ridiculous.
And they don't want to be Americans. Like, they just want to come in, work for 4 months, 5 months, basically make the equivalent of $100,000, and then go back and live, 6 months, of just,
or go work in a seasonal industry in Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay, it's up here. It's strawberry season. Go work there. Come back down here. Work tourist industry for 4 months. Take 3 months here off. It's so normal to do that. It's how humanity always worked, because we didn't have freezers. We didn't have air transportation to move stuff around the world. You did stuff seasonally. Even everyone did. And it should be like that. It should be like that. And crypto will help that. There, I linked it all back.
Yeah, we linked it all back. Well, speaking of
Pedro,
crypto,
I've only got 5 minutes left here.
all right, we can actually tie this into crypto. I think it's really important. Is that many people, like in Mexico, they actually understand, especially during COVID, when you had huge inflation. We're not talking 4% or 8%. We're talking 100% a year down in South America. Man, they would come up here, they'd work their butt off with their money, and then not to have to sit there and worry hard about inflation in their home area, right? Like, whether that was like El Salvador. El Salvador was actually really good because they had crypto, right? But
See?
But in the Bitcoin, right? But in that same sense, though, is like most immigrants understand crypto way better than Americans. I mean, most people in America doesn't even understand what a cold wallet is, right? But you talk to, like a Mexican who's crossing, from here into America, he knows exactly what a cold wallet is. He understands how to use it, how to put his money and stake it,
and how to hide it in his shoe.
Exactly.
In a waterproof container.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's real interesting to understand. Hey, Americans might be, you're like, hey, bro, do you understand? Yeah, get over here, man. I'll show you. That's funny. Okay, enough said about that. Yeah, man, it's been a crazy day. Real interesting. We got housing numbers coming up here. I can't wait to see what's going to happen there next month for housing numbers. I'm really looking forward to seeing job numbers. We are starting to see some of the job numbers starting to come in. So potentially, a lot of them are going to be pushing in construction and development, and then we're going to see. So Trump, he got a few more months. If he can push this hard, and all of a sudden he get a ramp up here, we could see some stuff. We could see a resurgence. So really interesting to see what happens here. All right.
Oh, let's look at the stats here.
I gotta admit, check this out.
Been low on X today for some reason. Low on X.
Well, normally when we talk about things like what we were discussing, we would normally see us get down to 4 people watching. Dude, we still got 13, 14 people still watching, which is by the way, I don't know if we're just being entertaining and there's that entertainment, or is that just y'all? We actually had a good conversation. They wanted to hear it.
We'll go with good conversation and entertaining.
Yes. I like it. Here we go. Oh, I forgot. We got 2 more minutes. We're closing up here real quick. Ethereum. We had a huge buy in Ethereum this week. We did not see a market move, which I thought was really interesting. Long story short.
That's Ethereum.
Well, what's interesting is obviously the institutions kept it, but this sideways pattern right here, I'm getting excited. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, but I'm kind of excited about potentially seeing a big push in Ethereum. So, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But that was about it.
All right, brother. Everyone, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We'll not be on the air tomorrow. The end of the year has come. Got things to do tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's
might, if possible, if time permits, we might try and get that extra hour of premium time done tonight, and then we'll be done with the month, and we'll see you guys in January for the new year. Anyway, thanks to everybody that tuned in today. Had a good crowd even had a good crowd on Kick. Got a new viewer over there on Kick. Brought him over to Rumble. Yeah. As always, ladies and gentlemen, the man in the box next to me, Mr. Pedro Garcia. Pedro, thank you for your contribution today. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to have hosted another episode of this great show we call DYOR Live. Remember, tell all your friends, tell your mom, tell everybody. Join us. We'll see you next time.